what's really what the interface is like. So from the videos that you saw and from this, you see that there are like two main ways that you can loop things. Matt Stevens, the guitarist, and Teresa Anderson, they both used what are known as stomp boxes, pedals. They're effect pedals. I've got pedals for various things. This one's a looper, this one's a looper, this is a delay pedal, this one will create distortion. But they're all different ways of modulating the sound. They're changing the sound, between the signal path between my guitar and my amp, or the keyboard and the amp. And so the signal is going through the cable, routing through all of these, and then whatever's done here, that's how it gets there. And then the other option is something computer-based, which is what you saw in the last video. You could see that the little thing that he was playing with on top of his piano, that all routed back to his computer and through a program similar to GarageBand. I think he was probably using Ableton. It's a pretty popular recording suite that has some functions like that. But through something like that, he is able to control several different loops at the same time. And then when they're actually doing the looping, when you're looking to loop, there's a pretty basic interface that you'll see with all looping mechanisms. There's a record overdub function, there's a play function, and there's a stop function. With your record overdub, you're recording, you're starting your recording, you're stopping your recording, and you're overdubbing. You're playing over top of that, and able to record over top of that. Play will just play the loop, and then stop. There are a couple different options that you usually see with a stop function. There's stopping the loop immediately, or stopping at the end of the phrase. So you could stop it, but have it continue to play through the end, the next 8 measures or so, however long it is before the end of your loop. So I know a lot of people will do that in order to sort of free their mind. They'll just be able to hit their stop pedal haphazardly and know that it'll stop when it needs to. And then usually stop pedal will also be what you use to erase your loop. And then what you saw through, especially in the last video, were some more advanced controls. You saw him reverse the loop. You saw him, actually I don't think you saw him change the tempo at all. But that's what I had done here with changing that to half speed, and I know there are ways to double it, or there are ways to use what's known as a tap tempo, where you would tap your foot to the tempo that you want it to play in. And then you also saw in that last video changes in volume, so he was able to do volume swells with his individual loops. He was also able to control individual loops. So that's sort of how you bring dynamic in still being a single person. If you think about a band or an orchestra, something with several bodies, several people playing music together, what makes them playing together work is how they interact with one another. It's how they can build up and to crescendo and then come down to quieter parts and insert that dynamic and that texture. So those are a little bit more advanced controls that not all loopers things with looping capabilities will offer, but definitely on stuff like GarageBand. I don't know of its live capabilities, but if you're like, you've got a project right now that I believe, correct?
Yes.
Where you're working in GarageBand and you could potentially be writing things to loop so that you can play over top of them. You're writing parts, so with the sole intent of playing other parts over top of them.